Yeah, so the play's about a 15-year-old boy called Christopher Boone who basically finds a dead dog on his street around midnight, and he embarks on a journey both in the literal sense and the figurative sense to try and find out what happened to this dog, and it leads him through some it leads him to some very weird adventures. Let's see, I don't want to spoil too much, but some twists and turns in the tale, definitely. It's sort of appeals to everyone. You know, it's one of those plays that everyone can kind of find something in that will sort of appeal to them. You know, it's funny, it's dramatic, it's like a massive spectacle. There's a lot of really fast-paced moments, there's a lot of really slow, intimate moments, a lot of grander moments. I feel like this show kind of has everything going for it, and there's really, yeah, it's just for everybody. I think it's literally just anyone can sort of relate, and anyone can sort of take pieces away from this show that they can hold dear to their heart, and I think that's what makes it so appealing. I think it's expect a lot from the production values. It is seeing it for the first time when we saw it. It really blows you away. You know, seeing all the projections and all the different lighting states. Obviously the music, which is incredible, and all of that. Just the symbiotic relationship between all of those things happening on stage. It's a wonderful thing to witness, and it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. So I think, in a spectacle sense, as well as a storytelling sense, people will be blown away by this. Yeah, so it is still the same in respects to the fact that it's all told from Christopher's perspective, but a lot of things have been changed because, you know, we're in a theatre. There's a lot more different elements of storytelling that we can use. So there's a lot of different elements, including lighting, including sound, including physical theatre, which was choreographed by the wonderful team at Frantic Assembly. There's also, the narration is still in there, but it's read by Christopher's teacher, Siobhan, reading from his book. So a lot of the key elements to the story are still there. It's just that we've basically used a lot of different mediums in order to tell that story. Yeah, so Christopher is a 15-year-old boy with a very unique perspective on the world, perhaps a different perspective than a lot of his peers and a lot of the people around him. He's never really been outside of his street really, maybe only a couple of times. He's very used to routine, he's very used to organisation, he's very used to the same thing. And basically the journey of this play is that he breaks that and he goes and experiences things that he's never experienced, and how the world that isn't necessarily structured for people like him, how that affects him in many different ways. Yeah. It was crazy. I had to pinch myself a wee bit. It's such a massive privilege to be able to do this role, just because it's such a mammoth task for someone like, for actor groups that are our age. I think it's such a mammoth task to do, both physically and emotionally. And it's an incredible sort of learning step for an actor as well. Like, you will not learn more than when you're doing this show. Like, it tests you on every possible point, like physically, emotionally, just everything from how the set is laid out. Everything is so specific. You have to be really on point and just really, really like properly like a pin. And I think it just tests you in pretty much every way. So I think it's brilliant and very, very daunting, but also very rewarding. Yeah, it's about relationships, and it's also about communication within those relationships as well. I think a big part of it is the fact that Judy and Ed really they struggle to communicate with their son. They struggle to see things from his perspective, and I think Ed is much more adept at doing so. He, is sort of met Christopher in the middle, I suppose you could say. Do you know what I mean? He's probably not the type of son he might have expected to have, but he has met him in the middle, and he is used to the routine in which he plays by being his dad. Whereas Judy isn't so used to it. Judy finds it very, very difficult, obviously, to mother Christopher in the way that he needs to be mothered. And I think a big theme in the play is sort of the people around Christopher and Christopher himself sort of learning to communicate with each other and to learn how to build empathy with each other. I think is a massive, massive thing in this play. I mean, it'll be good. It'll be good staying with my girlfriend and stuff. She stays there at the moment, which would be nice. Yeah, it'll be nice obviously seeing, there's still people I know that live there as well, so I'll be able to see them and stuff and catch up with them. And obviously I know the city very well, so I'm not going to be having to Google map every street as I currently am doing. But yeah, no, it'll be brilliant. No, it'll be brilliant going back to Birmingham. I haven't, no, I haven't performed at the Hippodrome. I know a couple of my peers that have, but I was not graced the opportunity to do that, so but it will be very exciting to do it. Well, I think there's lots of different things. I think much like Christopher, the audience is going to go through a massive gamut of emotions, all in the space of 2.5 hours. So you really sort of put the audience to their paces a little bit. But I think a big thing that the audience will take away is they'll gain a sense of empathy and they'll gain a sense of perspective on the world, a perspective in which they might not be used to seeing on stage. And I think that's always helpful. And also, I think they will be entertained as well, and they'll be blown away by all the different stunts. And yeah, it's just like I said before, like all of the elements of the show, people will be blown away by.